Hey, good morning, everybody. What do you say? Nice to see you today on a Thursday. How about it? This is Thursday, September 12, and this is the Bill Press Show. We are coming to you live from Washington, D.C., our nation's capital, and our studio on Capitol Hill, just down the street from the United States Capitol building, taking a look at the latest events here in Washington. Not only here, but around the country and around the globe. We got it covered. We'll tell you what's going on, and we'll look forward to hearing from you about what you think about it all. Give us a call at 866-55-PRESS. Join us on Twitter and send us your comments on Twitter at BP Show, and on Facebook. Become our friend on Facebook and send us your comments at facebook.com/Bill Press Show. Well, now that President Obama has agreed to put the bombing strike against Syria on hold while we seek a diplomatic solution, now the real work begins up at the United Nations, and it ain't going to be easy. France has put in a resolution to bring all of this about, saying Syria will hand over its chemical weapons, but there has to be a threat of military action in case Syria does not comply as part of the resolution. Russia says that's a non-starter. And then, once the UN team gets in there to start collecting these weapons, the big question comes up, will the United States have members of that team? And if so, does that mean that the United States will be putting boots on the ground, contrary to what President Obama promised? And if those boots are in fact on the ground in the middle of a civil war, could our people get killed by bullets that we are supplying? You see, it ain't as easy as it looks. All of that and more on the Bill Press Show.
This is the Bill Press Show.
I have run these canyons for 6 million years. I have traveled from the Rocky Mountains to the deserts, through scorching heat and freezing cold, from the land of the dinosaurs to fields of food.
I lend my hand to 7 states, 2 countries, 9 national parks,
and 36 million people across an arid West.
I am not the strongest or the largest, but I am the hardest working.
People love me.
My playfulness,
My beauty.
my power.
My life. But I don't think I can offer any more.
I am tired.
I am tired,
tapped,
and tied. Of the hundreds of major rivers in the world, I am one of the few who no longer kisses the sea.
Battles to harness my soul have been won and lost. Use me wisely, and I will sustain you.
Use me like you have, and I will break. My name is Red. The Grand River Red. the American Nile.
The Canyon Maker. I am the Colorado River.
And I am the most endangered river in America.
Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is the Bill Press Show.
The United Nations now starting to work on the deal for Syria to get rid of its nuclear weapons. Good morning, everybody. Here we go. Thursday. A big Thursday, September 12th. So good to see you today. Thank you for joining us. It is the Bill Press Show, and we are booming out to you live all across this wonderful country of ours, the United States of America, and around the world, I might add. Coming to you live, first of all, on your Progressive Talk, local Progressive Talk radio station, wherever you happen to be in this great land of ours. You can see us live also on your TV, if you're lucky enough to have a satellite dish at Free Speech TV, either the Dish Network or Peter,
DirecTV.
DirecTV, sorry, blanking there, a little brain fart. And if you want to watch us and the stream online, which many of you are already doing, go to youtube.com/TawkrTV, TAWKRTV. And whether you're watching or listening, so good to have you with us this morning. And we look forward to hearing from you. It's a two-way street here. We'll tell you what's going on. You tell us what you think about it by phone at 866-55-PRESS, on Twitter at BP Show, and on Facebook at facebook.com/Bill Press Show. All right, getting started this morning here with the whole team. Peter Ugburn and Dan Henning in studio this morning.
Good morning.
Hey. Better be here this morning.
I thought about not coming in, but you know, what the hell.
A little help. I know.
I won't be here tomorrow, so.
Really?
No.
Do I know that?
You do.
You do now.
Did I approve
By the way, I'm taking tomorrow off.
Did I approve that? Is anybody keeping track of the vacation days Dan has had this year?
HR is all over it.
Good. The HR department. Alicia Cruz here on the phones. Yep. We're keeping track of her time off, too. And then Cyprian Boulding, who never takes a day off.
No.
He's just there on the video cam, keeping us looking good.
That's right.
On Free Speech and on Talker TV. Well, we got through. I thought we were going to get through September 11 yesterday without hearing from the Reverend Terry Jones down in Florida.
Man.
But, you know, he pops up like he really, it's like Groundhog Day, right? He only pops up one day a year, September 11, to do something outrageous with the Koran, just to stir up crap. But you know what? Grady Judd is on his butt. Grady Judd, the sheriff down there.
I love this guy.
I do, too.
And we hear from him
once a year.
Well, at least, but he, you know, all the crazy stuff that happens in that neck of the woods in Florida.
Yeah,
he crops up for other issues, you know, all throughout the year, and he's so good.
He is good.
I love him.
Grady Judd. He's got his eye on Terry Jones, and he had said, "We told you," you know. So what happened yesterday? They find him. He's in his car. He has 3,000 copies of the Koran, one for every American or every person who was killed on September 11. He's got them soaked in kerosene. So he's going to go out and have a big bonfire burning the Koran. Oh, yeah. This is just what we need right now, right? And Grady Judd's watching him, and he's got him.
We told him clearly, if you violate the law, we will arrest you and put you in jail. And he did, and we did.
Boom. Slam, bam. There it is. There it is. Yes. I love it.
I don't know much about if I was going to burn 3,000 Korans, like how I would transport them. I don't know that I'd have them in my car soaked with kerosene.
Mm-hmm. It does not seem like a brilliant idea.
Yeah, right.
I don't see that working out well.
But he's the kind of guy, he could have him in the back seat, and he could light up a cigarette and throw the match in the back
exactly.
seat. Just oof. Yeah, like a cartoon character,
Right.
Oh, yeah, nothing could go wrong.
That might be the only way that America would be okay with burning Korans, is if it happens inside Terry Jones' car while he's in it.
And it's only like fuel to burn Terry Jones alive.
Exactly.
Oh, how grim. Here we go. Coming up today, we got very excited. We're joined by two Democratic members of Congress today, John Yarmuth from Kentucky and Deborah Wasserman Schultz from Florida, who's also chair, of course, of the Democratic National Committee. We're also going to be joined by Tamron Hall from MSNBC, one of my good friends from MS, and Joe Cirincione, our own foreign policy guru. We got to bring him back again for the second time this week to talk more about Syria. And let's talk about whether you think this new diplomatic deal could possibly work. But first,
this is the Full Court Press.
Other headlines making news on this Thursday. Another empty chair for Clint Eastwood to talk to. His wife of 17 years, Dina Eastwood, filed for legal separation in California this week, seeking spousal support and custody of their 16-year-old daughter. This was the actor's second marriage. A little bit of an age difference. He is 83. She is 48.
Could be another factor there.
I think that could be an issue.
I'm surprised that she's only the second wife for Clint Eastwood.
Mm-hmm. Newt Gingrich wants to moderate a presidential debate now that he's co-hosting Crossfire. The former House Speaker tells The Hill he'd love to moderate a presidential debate and has much more respect for the moderator position than ever before after hosting just one episode of Crossfire simply because of the time management skills required for that job.
Let me just say, okay, having been co-host of Crossfire for 6 years, and I don't know how many hundreds of shows, so you figure it out, how many because I was the only one on the left for 5 of those 6 years. How many shows I hosted? After one show, he suddenly wants to be Bob Schieffer.
The next Jim Lehrer.
The next Jim Lehrer. I mean, give me a freaking break. God, you talk about an ego. So wonder his head doesn't explode.
And in sports, a big bet has been made between the quarterbacks of the San Francisco 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks going into their game this coming weekend. Colin Kaepernick and Russell Wilson have bet that the loser of Sunday night's game needs to shave an eyebrow. EA Sports filmed them shaking on the bet and turned it into a commercial yesterday. We'll see how they look following Sunday night's big West Coast matchup.
Sort of a stupid bet.
It's a big rivalry.
Yeah, but stupid bet.
Yeah, I don't know that I'm give a crap whether or not either one of them shows up without an eyebrow.
I saw David Axelrod at a party last night.
Yes.
For example, he shaved his mustache. I said, Dave, put your mustache back on. I mean, look better with it. So, there we go. All right, the latest on Syria. I want to get your comments on this. First of all, I don't know what you saw. There is an op-ed that Vladimir Putin, this drives me crazy. Yesterday, September 11 of all days, on Syria, an op-ed from Vladimir Putin in the New York Times, basically lecturing Americans about what we ought to do, how we ought to conduct our foreign policy, and lessons we should learn from Russia about how to bring democracy about in the world. I mean, give me a break. Can you? I mean, look. I'm sorry. I don't trust the guy that came from the KGB. I don't trust the guy that's trying to squash any freedom or any freedom and any ability just to live a normal life for LGBT people in Russia. I don't trust the guy that's throwing all their opposition leaders in jail, or trust the guy that is silencing the media in Russia. And then he takes to the pages of the New York Times to teach us. Look, we can always do better, but I'm not going to take any crap from Vladimir Putin about it. And he says, right, that we are totally wrong in what we want to do about Syria, that the battle in Syria is between Al-Qaeda and the Syrian government, and he thinks that people of he also repeats again the no doubt that chemical weapons were used in Syria, but they were not used by the government. They were used by the rebels. I mean, he goes just on and on and on. Bob Menendez, chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, Senator Bob Menendez from New Jersey yesterday, he sees this op-ed piece and the night before, actually, when it was first posted online, tells his reaction, which I share.
I got an email with what President Putin had to say, and I have to be honest, it was at dinner, and I almost wanted to vomit. The reality is I worry when someone who came up to the KGB tells us what is in our national interest and what is not. And, it really raises the questions of how serious this Russian proposal is.
Yeah, and Putin, get this, he ends his piece, the last line in his piece, "We are all different, but when we ask for the Lord's blessings, we must not forget that God created us equal."
Did Tim Tebow write that?
Yeah, but I mean, this is coming from Vladimir Putin, right? Head of the atheist, communist Russia, at any rate. So much for Putin. But the bigger deal is now a lot of questions are being raised, of course, now about the new front in Syria, which is this diplomatic front, which we're now into as of Tuesday. Started Monday, and by Monday night, the president had said this is a serious proposal. By his speech Tuesday night, he was saying we're putting everything on hold. I've asked Congress not to vote until we can work out this diplomatic solution. Yesterday, at our briefing at the White House, Jay Carney again acknowledged that we've personally asked for this delay, and here's why.
The president asked for a delay in that vote because we're engaged in exploring a diplomatic avenue, and members of Congress are interested also in exploring that diplomatic avenue.
And Jay Carney pointed out there's already one really big difference sort of built into this new possible diplomatic opening.
One of the milestones here that was crossed, there were several. Syria saying, after 20 years of denying that they possessed chemical weapons and refusing to sign the Chemical Weapons Convention, suddenly acknowledging that they possessed those weapons and suggesting that they would sign.
Yeah, so now they say they've got them. They'll sign the Chemical Weapons Convention. Russia admits that they've got them. It's only a matter of working out the plan. And that's where we get to the first question of the day, which is, roughly what we're trying to do here. But it is not going to be easy. And already people are starting to say, can we ever pull this off? So let's think about it. Here are the problems with this, whether you call it the Kerry plan or the Putin plan or the Russian plan or the UN plan or the French plan or whatever. Here are the problems with it as I see it. Number one, it's got to go through the United Nations, through the United Nations Security Council. And that in itself is never easy, and it has all kinds of international, diplomatic rules and regulations that got to go through in order to get anything through the Security Council. Secondly, France, who is the author of this resolution, says, okay, if we're going to do this, there's got to be, and Syria says, we'll turn over all of our weapons, you've got them, and you can destroy them. If they don't do it, France is saying there's got to be something built into the resolution that they got a price to pay. There's got to be a threat of military force. Russia says, no, that's a non-starter. If you have any hammer in there, we can't support it. All right, already got that problem. Then let's say they get it, they work that out, and they get it through the Security Council. Third problem I see is they're going to have people. They're going to have put some UN forces over there to enforce this and to get the weapons and to collect the weapons. And the idea is get them all together, assemble them in one place, and then the UN is overseeing them, right, controlling them. Well, who are those forces going to be made up of? And will the United States have to be part of that force? And if so, aren't we in fact putting boots on the ground, which President Obama promised not to do? How do we resolve that? Where are these weapons? How many are these weapons? How many of these weapons? And how do we know we ever get them all? How do we know Syria's not holding a cache somewhere else that they're not turning over? Do we really know where they all are? Another big question. And overall, we got to admit, this is happening in the middle of a civil war. There's a civil war going on. And as of today, reported in the Washington Post this morning, we are finally delivering those arms that we promised several months ago to the Syrian rebels. So in the middle of a civil war, we're going to have a UN forces on the ground, which could include U.S. forces, caught in the crossfire, perhaps, in a civil war, and we could have U.S. soldiers getting killed by guns that we supplied to the rebels. I mean, there's so many things that could go wrong, not to mention this is all going to take a lot of time. This is not going to happen in days or weeks. We're talking months and maybe years. So I guess my question to you is could this ever work? Could this ever work? And given all of its problems, is it still worth pursuing, or should we just turn around and bomb the hell out of them anyhow? 866-55-PRESS. That would be the simpler way. What should we do here? 866-55-77377.
This is the Bill Press Show.
This is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cursor in between the R and the E. Pressing down, I want you to just push the period.
She's gonna love me all over again.
That's it. Jamaica, here you go.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. You know, I followed your character since the first episode. I'm a big fan. Big fan.
Thank you.
And listen, your storyline, it makes for incredible TV drama. Thing is, your drug use is very adult content. Too adult for the kids. So I'm gonna have to block you.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, have a good one.
You're a nice lady.
After the hour, here we go. It is the Bill Press Show. It's Thursday. Thursday is September 12. And we're talking about a lot of now those who really kind of push the president into saying, hey, come on, don't bomb. Let's take the look into this one last possibility of a diplomatic solution to what's happening in Syria. Some of those very people are now the ones raising all kinds of questions about, oh my God, oh no, we can never pull this off. It looks like it's too difficult. Is it still worth pursuing? Peter?
We are on Twitter at BP Show, at BP Show. It's a great way to join in the conversation. Fred Wilder asking the question, isn't a non-lethal solution to a problem better than a lethal one, regardless of how long the odds are? Death is not correctable.
Excellent point, which I think we have to keep in mind. Mm-hmm. That just because, it sounds like almost like, talking to little children, but just because it's hard doesn't mean you shouldn't do it, right? Yeah, I mean, who said it was going to be easy? But if there is this option, then it is worth pursuing. Now, the point that the White House was making yesterday is we're all for it, but we're willing to take this delay, but we don't want it to last too long. They wouldn't put a timeline on it, which I don't think you can. But you could see that Putin and Assad could use this as an excuse to drag this out forever and ever and ever, which we can't allow. At the same time, no matter how difficult it is, if we can get this through the UN, if we keep the pressure on and they really do come through and turn over these weapons, and we get them to sign the Chemical Weapons Convention, you know what? Hell, it's worthwhile. It is worthwhile. It is certainly worth doing. It is certainly worth pursuing. I don't think we have any choice. We've got to do it. So I think the naysayers and the doubters have just got to shut up, basically, and give this time to play itself out. And meanwhile, keep the pressure on.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a good point in the sense that who knows what will happen, but we do know that if we were to strike, there would be deaths. Like, there just would. And so this would certainly lower the body count. So at the end of the day, that's a better option.
And if in the end, President Obama, and there's also no doubt, as we mentioned this yesterday, it's worth repeating, that we would not be at this point. We would not even be, there would not even be a diplomatic option or a serious offer to get rid of its chemical weapons on the table if it hadn't been for President Obama's threat of military force. So we keep the pressure on, we pursue this, maybe we can have our cake and eat it too. When we come back, the New York Police Department.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Oh, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork, loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look. Your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
Did you see the world differently? Did you celebrate the victory?
So today, I state clearly and with conviction America's commitment to seek the peace and security of a world without nuclear weapons.
Did you stand up against our greatest threat? Change the world.
Like politics? Then like The Bill Press Show on Facebook. This is The Bill Press Show.
Here we go, 33 minutes after the hour. You can make it on the Thursday, September 12. It is The Bill Press Show. We're coming to you live from our nation's capital, indeed, and able to get to you today thanks to the sponsorship of the National Education Association, the great men and women of the NEA under President Dennis Van Rokel, creating great public schools for every student in America. You bet. Find out more about their good work at NEA.org. You know, here on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C., I, once a month or so, have a chance to lead a little lecture series over at what we call the Hill Center, which is just a block from our studio. And last year was one of the best programs that we did, was a program with three authors from the Associated Press who had won the Pulitzer Prize, who live here on Capitol Hill. And they won the Pulitzer Prize for their reporting on how the New York Police Department had missed one of the biggest terrorist threats to the United States, and in the meantime had conducted a questionable spying campaign, shall we say, on Muslim Americans in New York City. That story is now in book form. Two of those Associated Press authors have put it together, Matt Puso and Adam Goldman. The book is just out this week from Simon & Schuster. It's called Enemies Within, inside the New York Police Department's secret spying unit and bin Laden's final plot against America. One of those authors, Adam Goldman, in studio with us this morning. Hey, Adam, nice to see you.
Hey, thanks for having me here.
Congratulations. We love it when neighbors on Capitol Hill do well and also are willing to get up early and come in and talk about it. Let's start, before we get to the bin Laden plot, what was the New York Times in terms of their surveillance of the
NYPD? The
NYPD, sorry, yeah.
Well, after 9/11, Ray Kelly, the police commissioner, decided that they need to revamp their intelligence division, and he brought in a guy who used to run the clandestine arm at the CIA, a guy by the name of Dave Cohen, and then another guy by the name of Larry Sanchez, who was actually still on the CIA payroll, and they reinvigorated this intelligence division, and they created these programs to monitor the Muslim community in the 5 boroughs of New York. And they created, one of the programs they created was called the Demographics Unit. And they sent plainclothes officers out into the neighborhoods to go into businesses, essentially eavesdrop on Muslim Americans.
Yeah.
They gauge sentiment. They wanted to listen to rhetoric. They put things like, in one instance, they put in a police file that people were listening to the State of the Union address that President Bush had given. And when asked why they had put it in it, NYPD's response was, well, they said it in Urdu. So that would be concerning.
Oh, they were talking about the State of the Union address in Urdu?
Right, and that would be of concern, and that landed them in a police file. But that was just one of the many programs they had to monitor the community. But the gist of that program was essentially, look, we need to get into these communities. There could be terrorists there, right? And we need to rake them. That's literally what they did. They rake the community looking for hotspots. And within these hotspots, there might be radicalization, young men going down the wrong path, leaning toward jihad. And they would catch these people before they actually went off and did these bad things.
Was this a legitimate or an exaggerated response to 9/11?
Look, I mean, that's, we're having that debate right now with Snowden and the NSA. It's all part of this debate. And that's the great thing about the book and about what's happened with Snowden. We can talk about this now. Was our response an overreaction to what happened on 9/11? I mean, that's something we're debating right now, and I think Americans are really having a serious conversation about it.
You could see that, especially in New York.
Not
that the 9/11 terrorists came from New York City or were trained or developed or whatever inside of New York City, but you could see, especially in New York, there would be some apprehension.
Right. Well, they looked out in these communities, and they saw a lot of Muslims and Arab Americans, and their model to get a grip, to get a hold on.
And if I could just interject, we also had the first attack on the World Trade Center thing, which did come from Muslims in New York City.
Yeah, within New York City. I mean, the bomber was the
blind sheik or sheikh.
Right, and the bomber himself was the nephew of KSM. But what the NYPD is, they looked at these boroughs and they said, okay, we need to get control of these neighborhoods. We need to understand who's in the neighborhoods. And what's interesting is the model they used to do this was the Israeli model, the Israeli occupied West Bank. And they carved the city up into zones. The problem with this model is the Queens and Brooklyn are not occupied territories. They're part of the United States. We don't have a wall dividing Manhattan from the outer boroughs. And we have a constitution. They don't. And we don't have a national religion.
Now, and while the NYPD is doing this, they missed, right? That's the second part of your book, right? They missed the biggest plot that was actually ongoing.
Yeah, we tell the story of the NYPD's rise through this really thrilling, gripping narrative. I mean, this book, in the essence, is a thriller. And it's about a young man named Najibullah Azazi and his 2 buddies who are from Queens.
Except this is for real, right?
Except this
really
is for
happened.
real. But we tell it in a 24/7 framework.
Yeah.
Because we felt people, we wanted to engage people. We wanted to make this a page turner. And so these 2 guys, Najibullah Azazi and his 2 buddies, they 2 of them, they were Afghan Americans. Another one was, the family was from Bosnia. And it was interesting. They they slowly radicalized over time. They were, in fact, for the bombing of Afghanistan and getting rid of al-Qaeda after 9/11. And then we know what happened in Afghanistan, right? The war slowly went adrift. Media reports of errant bombings, people dying in weddings, innocent civilians being killed.
Drags on and on.
And on and on. And suddenly these guys are like, wait a minute, this was supposed to be a good thing there, right? The country is supposed to be getting better, but they perceived that wasn't happening. And they turned to the internet, and there's a lot of, radical imams on the internet preaching very bad things. And they decided they were going to go off and fight violent jihad against U.S. forces in Afghanistan. So they fly to Peshawar, Pakistan, but they never make it to Afghanistan because al-Qaeda gets their hands on them. And they and they bring him out to a training camp, and they say, look, we want you guys to become suicide bombers. And the three of them are like, no, we want to fight U.S. forces in Afghanistan. We want to be soldiers. And they're like, no. We got bigger plans for you. You have passports. You can get back into America. And eventually they
were they American citizens?
Yeah, and eventually they convinced them to go back and launch an attack inside America. And initially they had resisted that, as I just said, but this was during the period in 2008 when the drone campaign had ramped up, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we were hitting them hard in northwest Pakistan, and so al-Qaeda used that as a way to convince them to attack America. Look what they're doing to these drones. They're killing civilians. They're killing the wrong people. They're terrorizing us from the air. And they said, you're right. And that swayed them. Our own drone camp. It's the unintended consequences of our actions abroad. And, good or bad. And they decided to come back. And so they come back undetected, unnoticed. Najibullah Azazi, he's actually living in Colorado this time. He moved from New York because he thought it would make him less suspicious. He builds a bomb, and he's racing toward New York City. And
I can't wait to read this book. Yeah, it's just scary as hell.
Right. It is. But before he leaves to New York City,
he's transporting it. He's driving it to New York City.
He's built the primary component of this bomb in the back in his trunk of his car, which, by the way, is highly unstable and could have blown up.
Yeah.
But he makes one mistake before
the Lincoln Tunnel.
No, he makes one mistake before getting in the car and going to New York.
Oh.
He emails an al-Qaeda operative in Pakistan. And the National Security Agency, the NSA, is up on that email. And that triggers a massive response from the FBI. It's like, what's great about it is we built this counterterrorism machine, right?
Yeah.
It's like $500 billion this country's spent on it. And now we're going to put you in the driver's seat of this counterterrorism machine in real time, and you're going to see the decisions that people have to make, and you're going to see, the mistakes that were made, and the good things that were done, and you can assess, you can assess whether it worked or not.
But so they found the needle in the haystack.
They found the needle in the haystack.
NSA did.
NSA did, yeah.
Not the New York Police Department.
Not the New York Police Department, no.
So
and not the FBI either.
Right. So this means that everything that Edward Snowden revealed, right, this massive data collection program, works.
Well, yes. It's a little more complicated than that. Yes, the NSA.
We'll just hold that thought, hold that question. We'll take a quick break. Fascinating story, scary as hell. Enemies Within, it's called. Adam Goldman wrote the book with your pal Matt
Puzo, right?
Puzo. They're both, and you had a couple of other colleagues work with you at Associated Press
on
it.
Pulitzer, right?
Who won the Pulitzer for this report. You could see why. Great story. Any calls, any questions for Adam? You know how to join us at 866-55-PRESS.
This is the Bill Press Show.
If you're a responsible homeowner who's faithfully made your mortgage payments, you deserve thanks for doing the right thing. And I'd like to tell you about a powerful financial tool that rewards your responsibility. Hi, I'm Jay Farner, president of Quicken Loans, and the tool that I'm talking about is the Home Affordable Refinance Program, or HARP. HARP is designed to help you lower your mortgage payments. It's for responsible homeowners who are current on their payments, but due to the housing market may have little or no equity left in their home. And even if you were unable to get a HARP loan in the past, new guidelines mean that now you may be eligible. Over 2.5 million homeowners have already taken advantage of HARP and are saving an average of $250 a month. If you're one of the millions yet to take advantage, call us today at 800-QUICKEN. To learn more, call Quicken Loans today at 800-QUICKEN or go to QuickenLoans.com. That number again is 800-QUICKEN.
Important terms and conditions apply. Call us for cost information. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
When danger is imminent, will you be prepared? Now many mobile devices can bring you critical information from local sources you trust. With the unique sound and vibration, wireless emergency alerts keep you in the know wherever you are. Learn more at ready.gov/alerts. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Okay, so just type the job website.
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. You know, I followed your character since the first episode. I'm a big fan. Big fan. Thank you. And listen, your storyline, it makes for incredible TV drama. Thing is, your drug use is very adult content. Too adult for the kids. So I'm gonna have to block you. Oh, man. Yeah. Well, have a good one.
You're a nice lady.
All right, we're back here on the Bill Press Show at 12 minutes before the hour. Adam Goldman is in studio with us, talking about his new book, Enemies Within, a fascinating story about the New York Police Department, what it was doing wrong, and what it missed, I guess, through this whole operation. Not a very good report card for Ray Kelly, huh?
No, it challenges Ray Kelly's mythology, and that he has pushed forward an aggressive mythology about all the plots that the NYPD has stopped.
Right. So the whole stop and frisk thing, which he takes credit for, it shows how tough we are, and yet you point out that on the biggest threat of all, they totally missed the boat.
Yeah, and one of the reasons we wrote the book is so New Yorkers could know, and the country in general could know what it is they were doing and whether those programs were effective. And like we said earlier in the show, since all the information is tumbled out about what the NSA is doing, we can look at these programs now and say, hey, wait, we're giving up a lot of things for these programs, and are they in fact keeping us safer? And we can have that debate. And the NYPD is a secret. This intelligence division of the NYPD is a secretive organization, and the public's never had the information to assess whether these programs are actually keeping New York safe. And you would think you would want to have the best programs available, right?
Yeah,
to do everything.
Sure.
Yeah,
I think that's what Americans want.
Right.
Well, it is so secret. So. My question then is, and I'm curious, how did you find out about it? We know we found out about NSA because Edward Snowden worked for NSA and had access to this intelligence. None of you worked for the NYPD.
No. Well, we found out the NYPD had a close relationship with the CIA, and Matt and I cover, and Eileen too. We all cover national security here in D.C., and I focus mainly on CIA and FBI. And so while we were just reporting on other stories, we started hearing about what the NYPD was doing, and we started hearing terms that we hadn't heard, even within the intelligence community here. The words like mosque crawlers and rakers.
Oh, mosque crawlers. That's a phrase. Wow. Yeah.
And the demographics unit. And so, we started asking questions, and people started explaining us what these terms meant. We always said, well, that's interesting. Well, why don't we write a story about it for 9/11 in 2011? And then we wrote the story and about these particular programs, in particular demographics unit, and the NYPD said it was fiction. And somebody's got, quite an imagination, and these things, they don't exist. And then people started leaking us documents from within the NYPD, their own secret documents. And this just went on and on and on. Many people leaking us their own secret documents. We had our own little WikiLeaks going.
Yeah.
And then we used those to establish, the veracity of our story. Not that our editors had any doubt, because they knew who our sources were, and they knew these stories were real. So we put it out there, and the public could say it. And it's funny, we wrote the book, and Ray Kelly is still calling it fiction, which is amazing, because on our website, enemieswithinbook.com, we've posted the secret documents so you can look, and they're endnotes in the book. They're literally the endnotes. And this isn't your typical DC book, too, about, secret spy stuff. Many people are on the record in the book. The book is filled with people on the record, including people from the NYPD.
Now, I want to come back to this guy that's driving from Houston with a bomb in the trunk of his car.
Right.
And NSA picks up this email. Right. He sends this email. So where did they nab him? Well, how far did he get? And how did they nab him?
He got into New York City with the bomb.
Oh, God. Jesus. Really?
There's a pretty dramatic bridge scene on the George Washington Bridge. I'm not going to tell your listeners about it, because it's suspenseful, and it's a great part of the book. And you're put. You realize, when you read the book, you understand these guys, because the FBI is in charge of domestic terrorism here, investigating terrorism. They don't know what the other guy knows, right? And the problem is, you can't just go wrap Najibullah Zazi up when he sends the email, right? You've got to follow him, because you've got to see who else is in this Al Qaeda cell, and where's the bomb. So you're sort of at his mercy. And mistakes get made in all of these operations.
All right, it is just out. A great read, I'm sure. I can't wait to get into it myself. Enemies Within is a book. Adam Goldman, one of the authors. You're still with Associated Press, right?
Still.
Good. Keep your day job.
Yes.
I got to tell you, thank you for doing this, and I can't wait to read it, and then I can't wait to see the movie. Well, right? It sounds like it.
Well, I don't know if it'll be a movie. We sold it to 20th Century Fox. We optioned it for a TV series.
For a TV series?
Yeah.
I can't wait to see this.
Well, we'll see if it gets made.
All right. Hey, congratulations.
I'm pulling for it. I'd watch the hell
Thanks
out of
for coming in, Matt.
Thanks.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Aww. You should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork. Loser. Here, Let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look. Your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your
likes
kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
This is the Bill Press Show.
All right. Hey, in the next hour, Joe Cirincione will be joining us, our foreign policy guru from the Ploughshares Fund. And we're going to talk about the Millennials. Who the hell are they? And who the hell do they think they are? And shouldn't they just grow up? Peter?
Yes, Bill, we are in football season, and the Washington football team lost their first game of the season to the Eagles.
What's the name of that team?
The other day. Well, you're going to hear the name of that team a lot less these days because Christine Brennan, our friend, sports writer, she was the Washington Redskins beat writer for the Post for several years, and she wrote a piece yesterday that said she is going to stop calling them the Redskins. No longer will she call them the Redskins.
Well, we have to give them another name, right?
That's the next step.
You have to call them something. You just can't call them that Washington team.
That Washington football team.
That's a challenge.
This is the Bill Press Show.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket. and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Hey, good morning, everybody. What do you say? Nice to see you today on a Thursday. How about it? This is Thursday, September 12, and this is the Bill Press Show. We are coming to you live from Washington, D.C., our nation's capital, and our studio on Capitol Hill, just down the street from the United States Capitol building, taking a look at the latest events here in Washington. Not only here, but around the country and around the globe. We got it covered. We'll tell you what's going on, and we'll look forward to hearing from you about what you think about it all. Give us a call at 866-55-PRESS. Join us on Twitter and send us your comments on Twitter at BP Show. And on Facebook, become our friend on Facebook and send us your comments at facebook.com/BillPressShow. Well, now that President Obama has agreed to put the bombing strike against Syria on hold while we seek a diplomatic solution, now the real work begins up at the United Nations, and it ain't going to be easy. France has put in a resolution to bring all of this about, saying Syria will hand over its chemical weapons, but there has to be a threat of military action in case Syria does not comply as part of the resolution. Russia says that's a non-starter. And then, once the UN team gets in there to start collecting these weapons, the big question comes up, will the United States have members of that team? And if so, does that mean that the United States will be putting boots on the ground, contrary to what President Obama promised? And if those boots are in fact on the ground in the middle of a civil war, could our people get killed by bullets that we are supplying? You see, it ain't as easy as it looks. All of that and more on the Bill Press Show.
This is the Bill Press Show.
I have run these canyons for 6 million years. I have traveled from the Rocky Mountains to the deserts, through scorching heat and freezing cold, from the land of the dinosaurs to fields of food.
I lend my hand to 7 states, 2 countries, 9 national parks,
and 36 million people across an arid West.
I am not the strongest or the largest, but I am the hardest working.
People love me.
My playfulness,
My beauty,
my power,
my life. But I don't think I can offer any more.
I am tired.
I am tired,
tapped,
and tied. Of the hundreds of major rivers in the world, I am one of the few who no longer kisses the sea.
Battle battles to harness my soul have been won and lost. Use me wisely, and I will sustain you.
Use me like you have, and I will break. My name is Red. The Grand River Red. The American Nile.
The Canyon Maker. I am the Colorado River.
And I am the most endangered river in America.
Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
Number 2 man at the Vatican says maybe it's time to rethink celibacy. And maybe I'll become a priest after all. Hey, good morning, everybody. Here we go. Thursday, September 12. How about it? It is the Bill Press Show. Nice to see you today. You're looking good. And we're so glad to have you part of the program. Look, here we are. We're in our nation's capital. There's a lot going on. We'll tell you what's going on here and around the globe, around the country. But not only that, we'll give you a chance to sound off about it. Early in the morning, you wake up, you find out what's going on, and you got some strong comments about it. Anything you got to say is as important as anything we've got to say. So let us know. Give us a call at 866-55-PRESS. Shoot us a comment on Twitter at BP Show. And tell your friends on Facebook at facebook.com/Bill Press Show on all the news of the day, big events, little events of the day. We got it all covered here with our team in place. Peter Ogburn and Dan Henning.
Hey.
Bill, good morning.
Hello. Alicia Cruz there. There she is with a big wave, standing by to take your phone calls. And if you're watching us on, you're listening on your talk radio station, of course, your local progressive talk radio station. But if you maybe are watching on television, Free Speech, Cyprian Bolding is keeping us looking good on Free Speech TV, which you can find on the Dish Network or on DirecTV. And also, he's got us looking good online on our live stream, which is on TawkrTV, youtube.com/TawkrTV, TAWKRTV. And you know what? I'm just fascinated. We found out yesterday, people all over the world watching the live stream.
International.
I mean, Saudi Arabia, Russia, right? Ireland, the Netherlands. Where else? I forget now. But
Nigeria. They're watching us?
Yeah, we're big in Nigeria.
Huge in Nigeria.
Yeah, and big in Saudi Arabia, too. I mean,
apparently.
Yeah.
And by the way, one other little feature, if you do watch us on Talker, is there's a chat room there on YouTube. So you can sort of chat. Cyprian's in there and Alicia's in there, and I jump in every once in a while. And you can just sort of chat about what we're doing. Someone was asking what flavored Chobani you were eating the other day. It's a whole... Oh, here we go.
Today, is that the mold-infested and flavored?
No, it looks a little puffy on top
No,
there.
because I don't get that Idaho Chobani. I get the New Berlin, New York Chobani.
Oh, okay.
Chobani is the best way to start the day. By the way, they're not one of our paid sponsors, but damn it, they're going to be soon.
You're going to die trying.
Oh, yeah, die trying. But anyhow, it's peach today. Peach Chobani today. Right, there we go.
There you go.
All right. I love this the International Bill Press Show.
That's right.
Here we are. Yes, indeed. And so Jon Stewart, it's good that he's back. He is so good. And he was very excited about the results of the New York primary, where it looks like Bill de Blasio may have pulled up enough votes to avoid a runoff on the Democratic side. And as Jon Stewart said last night, this guy's got something for everybody.
There's de Blasio's wife, Shirlane McRae, who, and this is true, until she met her husband, Bill de Blasio, was an avowed lesbian, which we know from her 1979 Essence magazine article, I am a lesbian. This is why de Blasio can win in the general election. The Democrats love him because he's an old-fashioned New York progressive. And the Republicans love him because he can turn gay people straight.
Oh, that's so great.
That's
so
tremendous.
Great. Yeah, Bill de Blasio. We're proud to have had him on our show here. And I think we helped propel him to victory in the Democratic primary. Joe Cirincione from the Ploughshares Fund is going to join us a little bit later in this hour to bring us up to date on Syria. In the next hour, two members of Congress, John Yarmuth from Kentucky, Debbie Wasserman Schultz from Florida, will be here in studio with us. And we are going to... All right. For a long time, I've been very skeptical about the Millennials. And wait till you hear the latest about the Millennials. Well, we'll talk about it as long as their mommy and daddy says it's okay to talk about them. It's just a flavor of where we're going. But first,
this is the Full Court Press.
My parents are on their way in. Other headlines making news on this Thursday. A rough day on social media for AT&T yesterday. Many companies making 9/11-related tweets, some better than others. Theirs not so much. The phone company tweeted a photo of an iPhone taking a picture of the beaming lights in New York City shining into the sky where the Twin Towers used to be. They took heat for the product placement in poor taste. They took the tweet down after just an hour and apologized, but they took some flack throughout the day. Also, Marriott making a mistake as well, giving free coffee and mini muffins for 30 minutes in honor of the 9/11 victims at one of their hotels.
Yeah, I just think, just cool it on 9/11.
Those are the worst offenders.
Don't try to exploit it.
Yeah, exactly. Those are the worst offenders. But so many different corporate Twitter accounts felt like they had to come out and say, we stand with the, or we support, or we remember. It's just shut up. Just stop. It's so dumb.
The Pope has a new car. Pope Francis has worked to make himself more of a man of the people since he took over the papacy, and this week took a big step, got rid of his big fancy Pope-mobile that he uses to get around the Vatican, took possession of a 30-year-old Renault that was given to him as a gift by an Italian priest. It's a 1984 white four-door stick shift, has 186,000 miles on it.
I love that. That's great. Well, he just drives it around the Vatican.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, but still, he drives himself around.
No, it's cool.
Yep. And the long
stick shift.
Pretty great.
The long-awaited fourth installment of the popular Jurassic Park series now has a release date, but dinosaur fans will have to wait almost 2 years to see it. It's called Jurassic World. Hits theaters in June of 2015, and yes, it will again be produced by Steven Spielberg. Colin Trevorrow is directing it. The first installment, Jurassic Park, came out back in 1993. Overall, this franchise has earned nearly $2 billion.
Can you imagine?
I'm in no rush to go see a new movie of this, by the way, because they just did, to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the original Jurassic Park, they put it out in theaters. I took the kids to go see it, and it's a phenomenal movie, the first one, but they just got progressively worse.
Yeah,
I mean,
as usually happens.
Jurassic Park 3 was horrible.
There we go. Thank you, Dan. Yes, indeed. All right, now, but before... so there's a lot of talk these days about millennials, and it's been something that's just been bugging me for a long time, because I think... the problem having a radio show and a TV show is you can't say what you really think, because they're just like words. But words I always want to use and I can't use on the air, right? But because I just think this whole millennial thing is just a bunch of crap. But not just that. I mean, this whole every so often, right? Maybe every 10, every whatever, 15 years. Somebody's got to come up with a new term for that generation, the new generation of young people, and there's something so special about them, right? It was the boomers, or Gen X, or Gen Y, who are now called the Millennials. And it's always the same old crap like, these people are different than anybody else that ever existed on the planet. These people who are born between, like the boomers, between 46 and 64, 1946 and 1964, or Gen X, those who are born between 1965 and 1980, are really so much different than the people who were born before them. And now the millennials, the people who were born between 1981 and year 2000, now they're very, very special, and they're very, no, they're not. No, they're not. No, you're not. I mean, give me a break. You know, it's sort of like they think they reinvented the wheel, right? Or no, they invented the wheel. Or they're the first ones ever to have oral sex. No, you're not.
Okay.
You know, I mean, it's all this kind of stuff. So the latest, what got me started was I saw in this week's New Yorker that there's a whole TV channel now just for millennials. You're not allowed to watch it. You can't tune it in. Yeah, you know, they've got it wired. So if you were not born after 1981, and you touch your TV screen, it won't show. It won't play, probably. It's just only millennials can watch this TV channel. This is nuts. And then this article in the Wall Street Journal. All right. The latest on millennials is they are so proud of their parents that they won't let go. And they are actually the practice of bringing their parents to their job interview.
That's unbelievable.
I can't freaking believe it.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, seriously. That's what they're doing. They feel this, and companies, by the way, are encouraging this. Oh, you've been an intern here, and we've got a job offer. Here's an idea. Bring your parents in. And have parents sit in on the job offer. Can you imagine? And then once they get the job, these companies have take your parents to work day.
That's great. I love it.
Grow up.
Exactly.
Cut the apron strings.
Exactly.
I mean, they have their mommy. They probably live at home, and they have their mommy prepare their lunch before they leave for work every day, and then she leaves bus money on the,
Hurry home from work now. Don't forget, dinner will be ready at. I mean, you never grow up that way.
No,
I will say that
this is. I'm not making this up, right? I'm not trying to be. This is really. Here it is. It's really happening.
I will say, I guess I am a millennial.
No, you're not.
I don't call
Where are
myself
you?
that.
When were you born?
1983.
You're definitely
a millennial.
definitely a millennial.
Oh, Jesus.
Now, I will say, I am incredibly proud of my parents. I have a very close relationship with them. Would I bring them to a job interview? No. But I regularly hang out with them.
If you had walked in, I remember your
friends.
job interview for this show. If you had walked in with your parents, you would not have gotten the job, dude.
That is a fact.
I mean, that would have been number one.
I believe that.
What the hell are you doing here?
I believe that.
But, I think of this, I think, look, millennials are, I think, overall an obnoxious group of people. I hate to paint with that broad of a brush, but I put as much blame on the parents. Oh, no offense.
no
offense to anybody included in that group that might be on the show.
We're just talking in general.
In general.
We're not talking about any
No, but I put as much blame on the parents as I do the people who call themselves millennials, because this is a group of parents who grew up or who brought their children up, never telling them that they screwed up every now and then. And it's okay to tell your kids that they've done something wrong and they need to do it differently, because it shows them, you learn from that. You grow from that. When you tell a kid that every single thing that they do is wonderful and great, they grow up thinking that everything that they do is great. And then it's not a dumb idea to bring your parents to a job interview.
That is classic dumb. Listen, again, get on your... birds do it right. They kick them out of the nest. After like 2 or 3 months. Kick them out of the nest.
Exactly.
That's it. Yeah, come on.
You're either a grown-up or you're not.
And the little birds do it right. They fly away. Right?
That's right.
All right. So let's take after the birds.
They don't come back to mommy and daddy later on.
But you know what else it is? It's all marketing, I think. Yeah. A lot of it is marketing. I've never gotten into this, any of these groups, but particularly I find the millennials, just for some reason, the most offensive and the most obnoxious of all. I know a friend, a guy I know, wrote a book about millennials, and wanted to come on the show and talk about it and how special we all were. And I just said no, because I don't believe it. I don't believe it for a second. All right, we'll open the phone. So millennials come first, as long as your mommy is on the other line. Okay, it has to be like the other extension. Your mommy or your daddy's got to be on. 866-55-PRESS. We'll be right back.
This is the Bill Press Show.
So this is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cursor in between the R and the E. Pressing done. I want you to just push the area.
She's gonna love me all over again.
That's it. Jamaica, here you go.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. I followed your character since the first episode. I'm a big fan. Big fan. Thank you. And listen, your storyline, it makes for incredible TV drama. Thing is, your drug use is very adult content. Too adult for the kids. So I'm gonna have to block you.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, have a good one.
You're a nice lady.
Joe Cirincione joins us in the next segment at 25 minutes after the hour, talking millennials. Peter?
Yeah, lots of conversation about this on Twitter at BP Show. Don Griffith says millennials are the way they are because they were never told no by their parents, which I agree with. Beyond the Oath
They
says...
were never let go by their parents either, yeah.
Exactly. Beyond the Oath says, I'm a millennial med student. I live at home to keep loans lower. I would rather be out, but not cooking for myself saves time, and I'm not lazy. And Kevin says,
But does he take his parents to work with him every day?
I would hope not. Kevin says, I'm a millennial right here, and I don't think it's okay to have your parents at the job interview unless they give you a ride there. Which I would say, get your own ride. You know, there's public transportation. If you're old enough to have a job, you could drive.
You could have a car,
or ride
drive,
a bike.
or ride a bike, or ride a bus, or walk, whatever. Yeah, but have your...
Mommy, I have a job interview. Can you take me?
And wait outside while I...
And don't forget to bring my binky.
All right. John is calling from Cleburne, Texas, I guess it is. Hey, John, good morning.
Good morning to you guys.
Hey.
I got two views here. I've got 5 girls that are 17 up to 26, and I've always tried to teach them you got to stand on your own 2 feet. You know, and when one of them, as an example, is going to go mow the lawn on the riding lawnmower and it doesn't start, I'm not home. I get a call. I can't do it because it won't start. What would you do if I wasn't there? Well, you know, maybe the jumper cables and get them to process it. Get the jumper cables, go move one of the other trucks, and get the thing started and get it done.
Yeah, good. I like that.
But I also have somebody, and I'm a conservative, okay, and I want them, especially with girls, okay, you got to get them to stand on their own 2 feet. But I've got a guy that works for me who takes what you were talking about, the I'm special, okay, because I'm a millennial. And I had sent this guy out to do a job. These were the steps I wanted the job to be done in, okay? And I told him ahead of time, if you do it my way, and the job comes out great, you win. If you do it my way and the job comes out bad, you still win because then it's on me. He decided to do it his own way, screwed the whole thing up. I hate the cost of the job. And then I tried to talk to him man to man, and I'm 53. And, boy, he stood toe-to-toe with me, and I finally got to the point where I said, I'm really losing my patience with you. And he looked at me in the eye and goes, I'm losing my patience with you. And that, I almost said those 2 words.
Yeah.
Okay, you're fired. Okay. And I said, I go, Chris, I sign your paycheck here.
Yeah.
He goes, no, the old man at the job that I went to signed the paycheck. Well, I got so heated, my office manager had to come out and separate it.
John, classic. All right. And I know you were tempted to say those 2 words. You're fired. I would have been tempted to say 2 other words. But I'm not going to repeat them on the air. I wish I had more time to talk about the millennials. We will someday. So hold those thoughts. We'll come back and talk to Joe Cirincione about Syria.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Oh, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork, loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look. Your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach
likes
your kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
Did you see the world differently? Did you celebrate the victory?
So today, I state clearly and with conviction America's commitment to seek the peace and security of a world without nuclear weapons.
Did you stand up against our greatest threat? Change the world.
Politics? Then like The Bill Press Show on Facebook. This is The Bill Press Show.
33 minutes after the hour, here we go. The Bill Press Show on Thursday, September 12th, coming to you live from our nation's capital and brought to you today by the International Brotherhood of Teamsters, the good men and women of the Teamsters Union under President Jim Hoffa. We all live better because of their good work, and you can find out more about what the Teamsters Union is doing in many different areas at their website, Teamster.org. Easy. Teamster.org. The White House yesterday saying we are pursuing this new diplomatic option on Syria. We think it's worth doing, worth looking into, but we don't want it to take forever. It's got to get done in a good timetable. So Joe Cirincione from the Ploughshares Fund, our own foreign policy guru, we brought him back for a second time this week to talk about this. Hey, Joe, nice to see you. Unprecedented is right, absolutely. And special rewards and thanks to our friends who come back a second. Has it ever happened before?
I don't. I'm sure it has.
Yes,
I'm sure it has. Yeah.
Nothing memorable. Nothing as memorable as Joe.
Well, nothing's ever as memorable.
In the
Joe.
40-year history.
Right. There we go. So before we get to this new UN proposal or opportunity, Joe, yesterday the New York Times, an op-ed piece by Vladimir Putin.
Yes.
Telling us as Americans the way we ought to be running our foreign policy, and mildly critical, at least, of President Obama for his speech Tuesday night. What was your thought when you read this Putin op-ed?
It's a little in your face, ill-advised, a little like doing a victory lap. You know, he's...
we're taking lessons about democracy from Putin, who says in this piece, by the way, yeah, chemical weapons were used, but the rebels used them. The Syrian government didn't use them. This is a guy who's been denying that Syria even had chemical weapons.
Yeah, so it's unfortunate actually, because this is the time when you want to have when you want to promote the diplomatic effort. Get over some of the anachronism, the tensions of the past, and here he is, kind of shoving it in our face.
I know. My reaction when I read it was, we should have bombed them.
Oh God!
I mean, it just made me
You're getting
want
a little carried away with this stuff.
No. It made me just want to bomb them. I mean, damn it! I don't want to be. I don't want Vladimir Putin preaching to me about the best way to achieve democracy. Yeah. And he says there's nobody in Syria wants democracy. Everybody just wants control. So anyhow, for what it's worth, there is now. Let's just talk about this. First of all, did this just spring out of John Kerry's mouth, or have there actually been talks about a diplomatic solution whereby Syria would give up its chemical weapons?
So I've talked to some officials about this.
Yeah, what's the skinny there?
And there were discussions going back several months with the Russians, and including between Putin and Obama himself, about Russia helping to disarm Syria of its chemical weapons. But they went nowhere.
Yeah.
So that's why on Monday of this week in London, Kerry says what he said, which is, this is what Assad could do if he wants to stop military strikes. He could give up all his chemical weapons. And that was directly a result of the kinds of discussions they had. But then he ends saying, well, he's not going to do that because that's where the talk was. And that's when Russia surprised us by stepping forward and actually crafting a deal, apparently, with the Assad government to do exactly that, hand over the weapons.
And the Assad government stepped forward and actually kind of made that deal. Would it have happened without the threat of military force?
Nick Kristof has a very interesting piece on this in the New York Times today. He says the threat worked. And whether you think that we should strike or shouldn't strike, it's very hard to deny that the threat of force compelled Russia and Syria to act. This is what they're trying to avoid. This is the real politics. This is the real world. Threats of military force do have an impact, can achieve a diplomatic initiative.
All right. So now we've decided, the president said we're going to put Congress on hold, and we're going to put the strike on hold, and we're going to pursue this path. Yeah. This is not going to be easy, Joe.
Oh, no. Oh, there are a dozen logistical and diplomatic challenges in this effort. The only thing is they pale in comparison to the challenges of the alternatives, which are to do nothing or to go to war. So this is by far the preferred route. However tough it is, this is the route you want to pursue.
All right.
And so I'm glad that Obama and Kerry and others are saying, look, we're taking a hard look. And Kerry has just landed in Geneva overnight, and he's there to negotiate with the Russians what the deal actually would be, what the mechanism would be for doing this.
So let's talk about some of the hurdles. And we heard some of these at our White House briefing yesterday, and Jay Carney was being asked about them. So first, France is the author of this resolution at the UN, I believe, for the Security Council. France is saying, well, if it's going to work, there's got to be some threat of military force against Syria in case they renege on the deal.
Right. So now
there's got to be some little hammer in there, right? And Russia says, oh, that's a non-starter.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. France may be right, but it's not going to make it into the resolution. So you got to put that aside. You may need a threat of force, but you're not going to get the UN Security Council to authorize any threat of force at this point. So there's two arenas. One, we're talking about Geneva. We just discussed that.
Yeah.
So it's Kerry with the Russians working out the details. The others at the UN Security Council, what's the resolution going to be? And they'll be discussing that all day.
So you don't think any threat of force will be in the resolution?
No, but
But there's always the U.S. threat of force hanging out here, right?
Exactly. You don't really. You don't really need what they call Article 7 authorization. The Article 7 of the UN Charter authorizes the use of force in the case of threats to international peace.
That will not be in there.
Won't be there.
Okay. Now, somebody's got to go in there if they're going to collect these weapons, right? The UN's going to have to send people in, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Will those people include, let's loosely call it a force, right? Include U.S.
Fortunately,
personnel?
and here's the good news. We have a couple of decades of experience in doing exactly this. securing and putting under international control chemical weapons arsenals and then assisting in the elimination.
Yeah.
But it's not the U.S. that does it. We set up an international body to do it.
Well, will U.S. personnel be included in that international body?
It's maybe. That's one of the details to be worked out. But we have international inspectors from they call it the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons.
Okay.
This is the body. 186 nations belong to it. They've assisted in the elimination of weapons in 15 countries, done inspections in 86 countries, so they know how to do that. It's probably those inspectors that would be used to come and put international control.
Some reporters were raising the question yesterday that if there are U.S. personnel there, then in fact we would have U.S. boots on the ground, which I think is kind of a picky point, but at any rate. Yeah, so what? They're not combat forces.
They're more like loafers on the ground.
Yeah, right.
It's inspectors.
Okay. Now, then we have to realize that while this is taking place, there's a civil war going on.
Yes, so that's the first hurdle. So you've got to provide some kind of security, and this is actually one of the interesting things. These are not armed personnel.
Right.
These are inspectors. They have clipboards, not M16s. So there's going to have to be some sort of negotiation with the Assad government and the rebels for no-fire zones around the depots. You'll have to take the munitions from the 2 dozen or so sites we think they're at, consolidate them into the 5 or 6 main bases, and then have no-fire zones so the inspectors can do their work.
Yeah, and they're going to have to get there from these other bases to those central places, right? With the crossfire of the civil war going on, unless there's a ceasefire
and you're not going to have UN forces coming in or military forces coming in from other governments. It's got to be the host government that's providing the security. This is actually kind of a plus to this agreement, because if you get this kind of negotiation for a limited ceasefire or limited no-fire zones, that could be the beginning of an effort to extend to a more permanent ceasefire to end hostilities in the civil war.
Yeah, and it's ironic that this very time we're talking about maybe a stand down, right, in terms of for the work of these UN inspectors, at least, that we are now finally supplying arms to the rebels.
Yes,
as the Washington Post reports.
Right, stories today that the first serious arms shipments from the U.S. have started to reach the rebels in the last couple of weeks.
Are arriving, right? So, give us your idea of how long this could take.
The 3 stages: getting the inspectors in, you could do that in a matter of
resolution
weeks.
Passed, number one. That's Security Council.
Right. So Security Council passed the resolution. Syria signs the treaty prohibiting against chemical weapons, banning their use, declares their stockpile, so we have an inventory. This can happen in days. Okay, then getting inspectors there, organizing them, bringing them to the site, that could happen in weeks. Securing the munitions, getting them all under international control, cameras, monitors, seals, things like that. We know how to do this. Months you're talking about. When you've done that, you've effectively achieved your objective, which is to take the arsenal out of Assad's control, secure it, and provide at least some limited protection against rebels getting these munitions, terrorist, jihadist groups. You don't want them getting them either. The final part, actually eliminating the stockpile, that will take several years. That's tricky business. You'll be building incinerators on site to burn the VX, sarin, and mustard agents that they probably have.
But to the point where we know that they're in safe hands and out of the control of Assad.
It's a critical point. So
maybe
you're seeing
6 months?
That's a good time frame. That's about when you could do it. It might be a little longer depending on logistics. And, Washington is full of Eeyores. All these people saying, oh, we can't do this. It's too hard. It'll take years. You're missing the picture, folks. You take this stuff, secure it in a few sites, put it under international control. You've achieved your main strategic objective. You can do that in months.
Joe Cirincione, no E or he, in studio with us here. This is, it's not automatic, and it ain't going to be easy, but I still think it is worth doing. I don't think we have any choice. When we come back, Joe, I want to ask you about the connection between this whole operation and ending the civil war and getting rid of Assad. How does it all work together? Your comments, your questions, welcome at 866-55-PRESS.
This is the Bill Press Show.
So this is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cursor in between the R and the E. nicely done. I want you to just push the period.
She's gonna love me all over again.
That's it. Jamaica, here you go.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. I followed your character since the first episode. I'm a big fan. Big fan.
Thank you.
And listen, your storyline, it makes for incredible TV drama. Thing is, your drug use is very adult content. Too adult for the kids. So I'm gonna have to block you.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, have a good one.
You're a nice lady.
Eleven minutes before the top of the hour, we are talking the latest on Syria. Joe Cirincione is head of the Ploughshares Fund here in studio with us. You can find out more about, follow their good work, and join and participate in their good work at ploughshares.org, P-L-O-U-G-H, ploughshares.org. So, Joe, I heard someone say last night, in fact, it was that nutty Marsha Blackburn. I was watching just the beginning of crossfire. When you got to turn to somebody like that for insights into foreign policy. I mean, she doesn't have a freaking clue.
Could be worse. Could be Donald Rumsfeld.
Yeah,
who people seem to love booking on this topic, which
right.
blows my mind.
So
well, they've got Newt Gingrich. Can Rumsfeld be far behind?
Right.
So she says something like, "Well, we don't know what the administration's goal is or policy is on Syria." And I wanted to shout at the TV, "No, we know what the goal is on Syria. The goal is to get rid of Bashar al-Assad in Syria, and that's been for the last 2 years the goal of the United States. Now, so there's a civil war going on. We've been supporting the rebels with humanitarian help. Now we're providing them absolutely weapons, and now suddenly we're into this thing over chemical weapons. So how do these two different forces come together, or do they? In other words, if we can resolve this chemical weapons thing, will that help us end the civil war and dethrone Assad?
Yeah. So the president said over a year ago, Assad must go.
Right.
So
that's been the policy.
Clear.
Boom, boom.
But it's not up to us to do that. We're not in the regime change business anymore.
Right.
We're not going to go invade another country and overthrow the dictator and then inherit the mess. I mean, this is the problem. This is why you don't do this. Could we invade? Sure, we can invade. Then what?
Well,
so you don't want to have that
then
message.
What? Look at Iraq.
Look at Iraq. Look at Iraq. Or for that matter, look at Afghanistan.
Afghanistan.
So you've got serious problems that we don't want to do that anymore. But we're clearly in favor of the rebel forces, or at least some of the rebel forces. Another complication in the problem. So now we're doing several things. We're arming the rebels. We're pursuing a diplomatic path to take his worst weapons away from him.
Mm-hmm.
The chemical weapons that can kill hundreds of thousands of people in the region. And you're trying to build an international diplomatic coalition against Assad to narrow it down. All these things can work together. The pressure from the rebels directly threatens Assad. Taking the weapons away actually could be the beginning of a diplomatic initiative. We discussed it briefly before. If you actually have to get into negotiations with Assad to declare no-fire zones and involve the rebels in that, because some of these chemical weapons depots are in hotly contested areas.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to have to involve the rebels. That could be and you now have the Russians finally engaged in this. The more you bring these parties in, the more you start these negotiations, you start to establish the mechanisms that could lead to a more general ceasefire and some kind of power-sharing arrangement.
So the end result of this agreement on chemical weapons could be...
It could be the first step in a diplomatic resolution of a brutal civil war.
Could it also work the other way? Could it also assure that, we worked this out and now Bashar al-Assad remains in power?
Well, that's what Assad hopes.
Of course.
And that's maybe what Russia hopes. And that's why they're doing this. They're not doing this to do us a favor or that they somehow have come around to the Universal Declaration of the Rights of Men. This is about their national security interest, but that's the way it has to be. That's how you get agreements. Everybody's in looking for a win for their side. They all have to leave the table being able to declare victory. That's how negotiations work.
Yeah. So we got miles to go before we sleep on Syria, for sure.
Just beginning.
Yeah. Well, in a week or so, we ought to know whether...
if this deal is real or not.
Yeah. Joe Cirincione, nobody knows this stuff better than you, Joe. Thank you so much for coming in again.
My pleasure.
You don't have to come in a third time this week.
What are you doing tomorrow?
All right.
What are you doing tomorrow?
All right. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, guys. You too.
Go mobile with Bill Press. Download podcasts at BillPressShow.com and listen anytime, anywhere. This is The Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Oh, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork, loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look. Your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov. If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. you could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
And now this little program reminder here. Don't forget, we disappear in the next hour on Free Speech TV. But in addition to listening on the radio, you can still watch us online at youtube.com/TawkrTV, TAWKRTV. Big hour coming up with two members of Congress, Congressman John Yarmuth from Kentucky and Congresswoman Deborah Wasserman Schultz from Florida, who is also chair of the Democratic National Committee, and Tamron Hall from MSNBC. Three good reasons for staying here.
Follow us on Twitter at BP Show. This is The Bill Press Show.
And on this Thursday morning in our last hour together, we will have Congressman John Yarmuth from Kentucky in studio with us. Then we'll be joined by Congresswoman Deborah Wasserman Schultz from Florida, and also by Tamron Hall from MSNBC about a new program that she's launching this weekend. Lots of coming up with three great guests. President today gets a daily briefing with the Vice President at 10:15 this morning. Then he will move into a cabinet meeting at 11 o'clock. Saw a couple of members of the President's cabinet last night, and we were excited about the meeting today. And then the President, we have a briefing, a White House press corps with Jay Carney at 1 o'clock. I'll be there, and we'll tell you all about it tomorrow. More on Syria and other big issues in the news right here on The Bill Press Show.
This is The Bill Press Show.
Hey, good morning, everybody. What do you say? Nice to see you today on a Thursday. How about it? This is Thursday, September 12, and this is the Bill Press Show. We are coming to you live from Washington, D.C., our nation's capital, and our studio on Capitol Hill, just down the street from the United States Capitol building, taking a look at the latest events here in Washington. Not only here, but around the country and around the globe. We got it covered. We'll tell you what's going on, and we'll look forward to hearing from you about what you think about it all. Give us a call at 866-55-PRESS. Join us on Twitter and send us your comments on Twitter at BP Show. And on Facebook, become our friend on Facebook and send us your comments at facebook.com/Bill Press Show. Well, now that President Obama has agreed to put the bombing strike against Syria on hold while we seek a diplomatic solution, now the real work begins up at the United Nations, and it ain't going to be easy. France has put in a resolution to bring all of this about, saying Syria will hand over its chemical weapons, but there has to be a threat of military action in case Syria does not comply as part of the resolution. Russia says that's a non-starter. And then, once the UN team gets in there to start collecting these weapons, the big question comes up, will the United States have members of that team? And if so, does that mean that the United States will be putting boots on the ground, contrary to what President Obama promised? And if those boots are in fact on the ground in the middle of a civil war, could our people get killed by bullets that we are supplying? You see, it ain't as easy as it looks. All of that and more on the Bill Press Show.
This is the Bill Press Show.
I have run these canyons for 6 million years. I have traveled from the Rocky Mountains to the deserts, through scorching heat and freezing cold, from the land of the dinosaurs to fields of food.
I lend my hand to 7 states, 2 countries, 9 national parks,
and 36 million people across an arid West.
I am not the strongest or the largest, but I am the hardest working.
People love me.
My playfulness,
my beauty,
my power,
my life. But I don't think I can offer any more.
I am tired.
I am tired,
tapped,
and tied. Of the hundreds of major rivers in the world, I am one of the few who no longer kisses the sea.
Battles to harness my soul have been won and lost. Use me wisely, and I will sustain you.
Use me like you have, and I will break. My name
is
Red. The Grand River Red. the American Nile.
The Canyon Maker. I am the Colorado River.
And I am the most endangered river in America.
Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
The new number 2 man at the Vatican says it's time to consider and take another look at celibacy for Catholic priests. What do you know? You see, Pope Francis, he is bringing about some change there. Hey, good morning, everybody. What do you say? It is Thursday, September 12. Good to see you today. Welcome to the program, The Bill Press Show, coming to you live from our nation's capital, Washington, D.C. A lot going on here in Washington, around the country, around the globe. We'll tell you all about it, give you a chance to sound off and tell us what you think about it here. As we do every morning, our little town hall of the morning. You can join us by phone at 866-55-PRESS. You can send us your comments on Twitter at BP Show, and on Facebook at facebook.com/BillPressShow. Here with the entire team this morning, Peter Ogburn and Dan Henning.
Hey.
Good morning.
Alicia Cruz on the phones and Cyprian Bolding, as always, on the video cam. And we are so pleased to welcome back to the studio a good friend of ours, hardworking member of the United States Congress, representing the people of Kentucky, Congressman John Yarmuth. Hey, Congressman,
hey,
nice
Bill.
to see you.
It's great to be here.
Former talk show host, right?
Yeah, I did that, yes.
Yeah, I know. Just there's life after talk radio. Well, this is a big week for you guys. I mean, you thought when you coming back, you were going to have a big vote on Syria. Didn't turn out that way.
Didn't turn out that way. But the Russian proposal to have the Syrian chemical weapons turned over to international control put a stop on everything, which I think it should have. This is an incredibly positive development. It's not easy to get there from here,
right.
But I think right now that Russia is so invested in this process that I think the odds are very good of it for it happening.
That it will work. Yeah. Well, we'll get into that and some of the difficulties with it and some of the questions that have been raised about it, Congressman. This is your first week back after that 5-week break. I'm sure you were busy in Kentucky. Some of your other colleagues were busy traveling around the world, including Michelle Bachmann, who chose this time with all this conflict in Syria to go to Egypt. Jon Stewart yesterday, and she gave a little news conference briefing while she was in Egypt with a couple of other colleagues. Jon Stewart last night on The Daily Show had a little fun with, here's Michelle Bachmann's appearance in Egypt.
The world's focused on Syria right now, but the entire Middle East is really a tinderbox, volatile, unstable. The United States must take the greatest of care with our approach to this embattled and fragile region.
Representative Michelle Bachmann, Louis Gohmert, and Steve King were in Egypt over the weekend and gave a press conference on Egyptian TV.
Please be a Jimmy Kimmel prank. Please be a Jimmy Kimmel prank. Please be a Jimmy Kimmel prank. Nope. Apparently they were on a diplomatic mission.
My name is Michelle Bachmann. I'm a member of the United States Congress from the United States of America.
Okay, they've only said one sentence, and this is already the weirdest thing I've ever seen on television. And why is she talking like that? Is she addressing an Egyptian kindergarten?
My name is Michelle Bachman. Can you imagine a worse trio than Michelle Bachman, Louis Gohmert, and Steve King?
I'd rather send Dennis Rodman, honestly. Like, he would probably do a better job.
Who put that gang together?
Well, actually, I think it was Michelle's trip because I had some colleagues who were invited to go and decided not to, but it was her trip that she sponsored it. So
Really? Yeah.
Right. I actually was in that position 2 years ago. I went with a group to Egypt and Israel, and it's pretty daunting actually to step out of some of these meetings and be facing media in an environment like that, and it takes some sophistication and some intelligence to deal with it.
We're screwed.
I will leave it at that.
And you've either got it or you don't. Some do, and one doesn't for sure.
She did sort of have that quality of the American who goes abroad, who talks super slow or just talk louder. Maybe they'll understand you. Yeah. I said, do you have any Coca-Cola?
Yeah, right.
Well, the Egyptian media speak English very, very well.
I'm from America.
So Congressman John Yarmuth here with us for this first half hour. We'll be joined by Congresswoman Deborah Wasserman Schultz a little bit later in the hour, and then Tamron Hall from MSNBC. But first,
this
quick
is the
look at
full
the
court
real
press.
headlines of the day.
Other headlines making news on this Thursday. Prince William is leaving the Royal Air Force. The second in line to the throne has completed, he's not quitting, I should say. His tour of duty is complete. Completing his tour as a helicopter pilot, he flew his final mission earlier this week. He will now focus on royal duties and charity work, focusing on conservation and helping endangered species, also working with children and veterans.
It's a nice gig, man.
Yeah, it is a nice gig.
Yeah, that's not bad.
He's also got a baby to raise here.
Yeah, right.
A White House tradition has been called off for this year. The president will not have Congress over to the White House for the annual picnic. It was supposed to happen back in June, but it was postponed until this month. And now, because of what's going on in Syria, the White House says it's calling off the picnic for the year. It had been a rare occasion when members of Congress could socialize with the president in a non-political, non-confrontational, fun family setting.
What do you think of that, Congressman?
I wish they had done it earlier because my wife had already bought a plane ticket.
Oh,
we're going to be out that money. But no, I think it was smart to call it off. But I don't know why he rescheduled it anyway, to be honest. I mean, once it was canceled in June, to do it at this point where people are back in school and so forth. That was the beauty of it, is you bring children and it becomes a family thing. Great opportunity to
canceling
meet family.
But canceling it this time after having rescheduled it, was that a smart move? Doesn't help relationships, it doesn't seem to me, right?
Well, I don't think it would have affected relationships one way or another.
Yeah.
I mean, he had the picnic for 4 years running.
Yeah, it's dysfunctional now. It probably would be after.
And it was
tried
no
all
picnic.
sorts of different food. None of it worked.
It was no picnic.
You're not that far from the Capitol or the White. You should have people over to your house for a barbecue. Invite members of Congress over.
We're available tomorrow night, Congressman.
No, our backyard is not as big as the South Lawn.
No. It is a wonderful, wonderful event.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
It's wonderful to be there. But again,
next year.
Next year.
All right, we got it. So, Congressman, I want to ask you first, before we get into Syria here. So, I want to get this, be sure I understand, and all of our viewers and listeners understand. So, you guys were off for 5 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And you came back Monday night.
Monday
Really?
night,
Not Monday during the
Right.
Monday night. And you're going home today.
We're finished,
What the hell?
We're finished at 11 o'clock this morning. And
So
we're off till Tuesday.
Monday night you had like one vote or something like that,
We had a couple
right?
votes, yes.
Yeah,
What we call
okay.
suspension votes, which are non-controversial votes.
And then Tuesday or Wednesday? you
Tuesday
did
and
a little-
Wednesday we had, I think, a total of 6 or 7 votes, mostly non-controversial. The only substantive vote we had was actually we'll have it this morning. This is the 41st effort to undermine the Affordable Care Act. So we had 2 procedural votes yesterday on the rule for considering this, and then we'll vote on that today.
And then go home.
And then go home. And then we're off till Tuesday evening, and then we're in till Friday, and then we're supposed to be out the following week. So essentially we have, with a pretty important deadline coming up on
Isn't there
September
sort of like a minimum number of days a year that I know you don't make the schedule, so I'm attacking you personally. But is it a minimum number of days a year that you guys ought to work?
I think Absolutely. And this is an embarrassment. It is a total embarrassment. I mean, essentially, we have now, between now and the day when the government will shut down if we don't fund it, to figure out a way to fund it, beginning October 1st, we have 4 days to get this done. 3 days next week, and then September 30th.
And with that looming, right, that ahead of you, you would think you'd be there every day, you know, trying
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, you know, the majority party sets the schedule. We didn't do it this way when the Democrats were in the majority. We worked most weeks, and we worked full weeks. But basically, you know, I tell people, they say, well, how much time do you spend in Washington? I said, in the normal sequence under the Republicans, I'm there 6 nights out of every 21. The rest of the time, I'm home. And, you know, that's just not enough to get the work done that we need to be doing. Now, on the other hand, the Republicans don't have an agenda. Mm-hmm. There's nothing they want to do except stop stuff.
Right.
And, you know, when they want to cut spending and they want to defund or abolish or repeal Obamacare. And so I guess they figure, well, there's nothing we really want to do, so why should we be here?
I was talking with the Secretary of HHS, Kathleen Sebelius, last night at an event. And it is amazing that at the same time that the administration is moving with many, many states to enroll 7 million people in Obamacare, because now, as of January 1, it's finally going to be open, these exchanges. And so the program is really growing, expanding, helping millions and millions of more Americans. The Republicans are still back in this time warp of trying to repeal it or defund it, which ain't going to happen, right?
No, it's not going to happen. And as you said, you know, what people don't realize is the law's been in effect now for 3 years, more than 3 years. A lot of the provisions have already taken effect, particularly with Medicare. Seniors now have preventive care free. We've cut the cost of their prescription drugs significantly. There have been protections put in place for young people where they can't be denied coverage because of pre-existing conditions. And, you know, that young people can stay on their parents' insurance policy till 26. That's all been in place. So now the expansion of Medicaid, which in most states is taking place, will take effect on January 1st, and then people now will be able to buy insurance in the individual market and small businesses in the exchanges. So yeah, it's happened. This is the law. It's in effect, and Republicans are wasting everybody's time. They ought to be working with us to correct some of the problems which everybody acknowledges exist. I mean, we knew there would be unintended consequences of this law. It's very complicated. But they don't want to do that. They just want to make political points.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's ironic. We just had the state fair in Kentucky in August, and our exchange is going to be a model for the country. HHS says that, and it's called Connect, K-Y-N-E-C-T, Kentucky Connect.
Yeah.
And so thousands of people came to the Connect booth at the state fair, and the common reaction after they got information were two things. One is people weren't at all concerned or alarmed or fearful of the Affordable Care Act. They just wanted to know more about it. They were curious. Because most people don't understand how it's going to work. So they were very interested in getting information. And the other reaction was when they heard about Connect, they said, oh, this sounds much better than Obamacare.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, of course, it is.
Unbelievable. All right. Did the president do the right thing in coming to Congress for a vote? And then did he do the right thing in delaying the vote?
I think he did the right thing in both instances. I actually, several weeks ago, had urged him to come to Congress for a vote.
You were one of the ones who signed that letter.
Right, and I thought it was very important, and not just because he had made the statement years back during the campaign in 2007 that there has to be a direct threat for the president to act unilaterally, but because we've seen it time after time in this country that if there's no popular support for military action, it just doesn't work. So, you know, I think probably, as many commentators have said, the sequencing was probably not good because he didn't make the case to Congress before he announced it was coming to Congress. And so there's a lot of catch up, and they've been working very hard to apprise members of what the situation is to get everybody filled in on what the intelligence shows. But it was a tough case to make when we're hearing from our constituents basically 50 to 100 to 1 against a military strike. My mail as of the other day was something like 650 to 16. And that's consistent with everybody I've talked to, Republicans, Democrats, regardless of where they are in the country. Popular opinion dramatically opposed.
So the diplomatic initiative and putting the delay until we pursue that, you think was the right thing to do?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think the president has for several years tried to work diplomatically and using sanctions and so forth, and quite honestly, that hasn't been effective. So I think that was always the president, the administration's preference. Certainly, I think it's everybody in Congress's preference. We don't want to go fighting another battle, and particularly with this uncertain situation over there, where we have nobody has any idea what would happen if Assad fell, and that's kind of the delicate line that we're all trying to walk, or the administration is, and certainly what President Putin has identified too, saying you've got to keep that infrastructure in place some way, because otherwise there's chaos.
Real chaos. So when we come back, Congressman, let's talk about some of the. It's good to be pursuing this diplomatic path, but clearly it's not easy, and there are a lot of potential problems there as well. Congressman John Yarmuth from Kentucky here. You want to join the conversation? You have a question for the Congressman? 866-55-PRESS.
This is the Bill Press Show. Follow us on Twitter @BP Show. This is The Bill Press Show.
All right, 26 minutes now after the hour. Congressman, your colleague, Congresswoman Deborah Wasserman Schultz, joining us at the half. When you came back before you got jumped in the middle of all these briefings and everything, how were you inclined to vote?
Well, I was inclined and still am inclined to vote against authorization of force. And I don't see how it is in our direct national security interest. I think the connection there is very, very tenuous. But my biggest concern is acting alone. And, Secretary Kerry initially had made a statement a couple weeks ago, and it sounded to me like he was endorsing the idea that we should be the world's police force. President, actually, he said that. He backed away from it a little bit in his speech Monday night, but he also said at one point, or whenever the speech was, Tuesday night, but he had said also that he thought it was our obligation to act alone if we had to. And, that's, I think, not advisable for the world's only superpower. I think we have to act with some kind of international support. Now, we're accumulating some more international support, but we really don't have anybody who's a willing partner, and certainly not to any major extent. So that concerned me.
So our ultimate goal, let's not forget, is that Assad should go. Now we're pursuing this path to get him to turn over his chemical weapons. If that, as you indicated, there's lots of pitfalls there. But if that is successful, at the end of that, are we closer to our goal of getting rid of Assad, or is Assad stronger?
Well, I mean, he might be a little bit stronger, but I think if he actually cooperates with this effort that the Russians are leading and involves himself in that negotiation, I think the opportunity to negotiate something final to the Syrian solution in a Geneva context is greater. I think he can't believe that he can hold on to power for long. So this may be the opportunity. While he may be stronger in a short-term perspective militarily, and in a PR sense, I think ultimately this may set the framework for a negotiated settlement.
You got to go, Congressman.
Departure.
Thank you for coming in.
Always a pleasure.
Good luck dealing with this. Thanks.
Is the Bill Press Show.
Okay, new kid. Here's your company phone.
This is the Bill Press Show.
All right, 33 minutes after the hour, Thursday, September 12, the Bill Press Show coming to you live from our nation's capital on your local progressive talk radio station and online at TawkrTV. You get there by going to youtube.com/Tawker, TAWKR, TawkrTV. Coming to you live again from our nation's capital and brought to you today by AFSCME. You know, the good men and women of AFSCME, the largest public employee and healthcare workers union in the entire country, under President Lee Saunders, doing great work, making America happen. And you can check out more about their good work at their website, afscme.org, AFSCME.org, as Congressman John Yarmuth just in studio told us, Congress, which roared back into town on Monday to take a big vote authorizing, or not, a military strike against Syria, leaves town today, never having to take that vote because the president has given time to pursue this diplomatic approach of Syria surrendering its chemical weapons. Where do we stand now? We're joined by a good friend of the program, member of Congress from Florida, Congresswoman Deborah Wasserman Schultz, who is also chair of the Democratic National Committee, wearing at least two hats. She's also a great mom, so a third hat as well. I don't know how many more. Hey, Congresswoman, how are you?
Great, Bill. It's great to be with you again.
Good to be with you. It was nice to see you the other evening as well at the Crossfire relaunch. You and I had some good times together on Crossfire, right?
We did. Several times, actually, during the Florida recount and a couple times after that. It was really excited about the relaunch of that show.
Well, yeah, you were a state senator from Florida in the recount. I remember that's how we met online on Crossfire. So, Congresswoman, let me ask you: did the president do the right thing in asking Congress to vote on this? Number one, and then do the right thing by saying, "Okay, now that you're back, we don't need your vote right now."
Well, I think there's no question that the president did the right thing by seeking Congress's authorization to engage in a limited military strike against Syria, most especially because there is a 100-year-old norm against using chemical weapons, and that they are not only not a legitimate weapon of war, but I mean this is a leader who murdered almost 1,500 of his people in cold blood, including hundreds of children.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Bill, the images of those kids writhing on the floor and lined up dead, murdered by their president, is just something that should be abhorrent to the entire world, and is the world's really only remaining superpower. A united front from the United States, the president's conviction backed up by Congress's authorization, would help make sure we could degrade and deter his ability to do it again. And then to pull back what was also the right thing, because if there's an opportunity to make sure we can bring about the end of the use of those weapons in Syria, then that's a political solution that President Obama has always said he prefers.
So how were you, when you came back, how were you inclined, if there had been a vote, how were you inclined to vote?
I planned to vote yes, and still believe that we need to leave that authorization, and that we need to vote, and that the authorization and the president's threat needs to remain in place, because that is the only reason that Syria and Russia came to the table and suggested that they would be willing to put their chemical weapons, Syria's chemical weapons, under international control. And without that threat, no one should believe that we would be in the place where we even had an opportunity to negotiate the securing of those chemical weapons.
In fact, as recently as last Sunday, they were still denying they had any chemical weapons.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
Exactly. Now it's been acknowledged by both Putin and Assad that they were used. But at the end of the day, look, I'm glad that there is a potential for a solution here that would not have us strike. But make no mistake, there's got to be a short window here, and one in which we verify then trust.
Right. No, you're getting exactly to my next question. Because a lot of this depends on trusting Putin and trusting Assad. I mean, how can we? Right?
Well, I think that the opportunity has to be explored. I mean, there have been overtures made by Mr. Putin, which Secretary Kerry is taking advantage of through President Obama's direction. We'll see what can be negotiated in Geneva when Secretary Kerry arrives there today, and that the United Nations will hopefully rally around. I mean, making sure that we have a really ironclad verification system, one that ensures that we know that those chemical weapons were removed from Assad's control, that he's not able to use them, would accomplish that goal that the limited strike would have, and obviously that would be preferable. But the strike has to remain a credible threat, and they have to believe that we will use it if they don't proceed with all deliberate speed.
How much time do you think we can give this, Congresswoman?
It's hard to put a time frame on it.
There's got to be. I think you said earlier. There's got to be some limit, though, right? I mean, you can't just drag on forever and ever, right? Yeah.
Right. I mean, but clearly there's some complexity in establishing a process to secure those weapons and then verify that they've been removed from his control completely.
Yes. How does this, in the end, how do you think this plays out? Let's say this. And there's a lot of skepticism in all of us because of the players involved.
Of course,
that this could work out. So. But let's be positive and say it works out, and we get those chemical weapons, and they're under international control. So how does this play out? Does that weaken Assad in the end, or strengthen him? Because our ultimate goal is to get rid of this guy.
Well, without chemical weapons, I mean, he clearly used those chemical weapons to try to clear out opposition in the Damascus suburbs that his forces were not able to do without using abhorrent weapons.
Yeah.
So I think it was a clear sign of weakness that Assad used them, and so we need to continue. First option always to use diplomatic and political tools to try to diffuse this conflict and get Assad out of power. And we are providing limited support to the rebels, but again, that's fraught with complexity as well, because some of them are not our friends, nor would we want them running a country. So I think we have to proceed carefully, and not it's not our job to engage in another nation's civil war, and I know that's certainly not President Obama's intention.
Congresswoman Deborah Wasserman Schultz, our guest here on the Bill Press Show this Thursday morning. I want to ask you to put your other hat on, if you can, please, Congresswoman, for just a second here. How does let's take a look at the political landscape today. First, people they think this is a year off, and it is, right? But there are a couple of important races for governor's race in Virginia, governor's race in New Jersey, mayor's race in New York, and then everything's up next year all over again. Right. How do you feel now in your position as Democratic National Chair about the strength of the party?
Really, really good. I mean, we are really continuing to focus on map expansion and continuing to celebrate the successes of Democratic victories. I mean, we look at 2013 and see that the continued turning blue of the state of Virginia with Terry McAuliffe, who is in really strong shape to be elected governor. It's got a really incredible, our former DNC chair, but a really strong, incredibly savvy businessman in his own right, who is focused on job creation, focused on making sure that we can continue to revitalize the middle class. And the polling shows that Terry's numbers are really strong, and that Virginians are poised to elect him governor of the Commonwealth, particularly because his opposition is a Tea Party extremist who is also wildly unethical and has been caught up in some pretty disturbing financial and gift scandals. Look at what's going on in New York. We're very likely to elect the first Democratic mayor of New York City in 20 years. Yes, New York is blue, but New York City hasn't had a Democratic mayor in 20 years. We are focused on expanding the map. We're a national party while the Republicans remain mired in insular, civil war. They're a regional party. We're focused on Arizona, on Texas, on Georgia. Let me just point out, Bill, Georgia, in Georgia, where we put no resources in the 2012 presidential election, President Obama got 45% of the vote. That's with us putting no resources in, and our volunteer base going to North Carolina, sending our volunteer base to North Carolina and Florida. So we know that we have opportunities there with some investment, and at the Democratic Party, we're going to be working to make sure that we continue to expand the map.
Oh man, if we could turn Georgia, it looks like it's already becoming a little purple. We could turn Georgia blue, man. That really would be historic.
That would turn some heads, wouldn't it?
Yeah, you got it. Be a proud feather in your cap, indeed. Congresswoman, always good to have you with us. Thanks so much for your time this morning.
Thanks, Bill.
All right,
Take care.
Have a great weekend, Congresswoman Deborah Wasserman Schultz. When we come back, Tamron Hall at MSNBC has a brand new show coming up, Deadline Crime. Well, she'll tell us all about it.
This is the Bill Press Show. This is the Bill Press Show.
All right, here we go at 13 minutes before the top of the hour now here on this Thursday, September 12. Coming to you live on your local progressive talk radio station, the Bill Press Show, and also coming to you live on our video stream at youtube.com/TawkrTV. TV. Talker. TAWKR TV. Of course, that's how everybody spells Talker. And, you know, I had a lot of fun the other night going to the relaunch party for Crossfire at the party thrown by CNN. I did 6 good years as co-host of Crossfire, as most of you know, and then moved over to MSNBC, where I had a lot of fun with Pat Buchanan, with our show Buchanan and Press, and still feel very much part of the MSNBC family, where I was there with Pat, and then later as a contributor, and many, many times as a guest on MSNBC. Made a lot of good friends, and a lot of people there I admire, none more so than Tamron Hall, a great anchor, great reporter. Her show, of course, News Nation, every afternoon, weekdays from 2 to 3 on MSNBC. And now a new show on the Investigation Discovery News Network called Deadline, Crime with Tamron Hall, joining us on our newsline this morning. Hey, Tamron, good morning.
Hi, Bill. Good morning. What a compliment. I didn't.
No,
blew me away. I'm your favorite
great.
at MSNBC.
I'm a big fan, big fan. Have been for a long time. Yeah.
And I'm the same way. I feel the same about you. I tell people all the time when I started at MSNBC, and you kind of go around the room and you meet people, and you were one of the warmest and just kindest individuals in the building, and it just blew me away because I've always admired you and thought great things of you.
Oh.
It was great to see it matched in person.
Thank you. We have this mutual admiration society.
Man.
That's nice to know. Yeah.
We get diabetes from all this sugar this morning. My God.
Well, congratulations.
It's true.
Now, congratulations on this new program. I think it's great. You're having a lot of fun with it. Although I don't have fun with some of the topics you have to do.
Right,
but,
yeah. You know what? I've learned a lot. That's funny you said, you know, the choice of words, how do you describe the emotion? Because I said to someone, I was excited, and I said, wait a minute, I'm not excited because of the content, but I have been enlightened, and I've learned so much, and I feel so connected. The premise of the show really is, it gives me an opportunity to talk with family members who, I described it as the saddest club you don't want to be a member of, and that's when you've lost a loved one or you've been impacted by crime. And my sister was killed in 2004 in a case that's not been solved. And I've now had an opportunity to talk with others who've experienced this grief and this lack of closure and this frustration that lingers within my family. And so it's allowed me to get out of the studio and away from, you know, that environment, that bubble that can exist, and really just sit across from someone, you know, and hug them and talk with them. And it's part therapy, I guess, but it's also because of Discovery ID and its investigative role. A lot of our audience, they consider themselves attorneys or, you know, investigators, and they really get into these cases.
So this the show airs every Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 Central, correct? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And do you is the object or to tell people about these cases or to help solve these cases? Are these cases that have been resolved or that are still pending for the most part?
It's both. You know, we have a mixture. It's a 13-episode series, and our first case that we launched with, I think people really got into it because they wondered if justice had been served. A young man was convicted, the murder of his mother, of all people, and his father, to this day, Bill, is heartbroken. I sat next to this guy. He lives in a suburb of Detroit, worked for the car industry his entire life, and now he's raising his daughter, who's 12 years old, alone, and their family of 4, as we pointed out, went to 3 when he lost his wife, and it went to 2 when his son was convicted. And he believes that police focused on his son for whatever reason, and that the wrong person is behind bars. And so we explore that in the heartbreak of this father losing his wife and then being told by authorities that it was his son, and it's unresolved, at least in his eyes. But the young man, Chris Pine, was convicted, and he is serving 30 years, I believe, behind bars right now, and they're appealing. So we have a mix. We have a case coming up this Sunday involving the wife of a university professor, and this case ultimately affected the law in the state of Pennsylvania. So we have it's a hodgepodge of things, if that's a great way to describe it. And we have another case that's coming up outside of Atlanta. A young woman disappeared, and her family, as you can imagine, as anyone, you know, would feel, they want to know what happened. She went to work as a nurse one night and was never seen again. So it's a mix of stories that mean as I said before, the world to me because it gives a voice to these people.
Yeah, every one of these is compelling. So how soon before you're going to do George Zimmerman? Are you going?
Ooh, I think you know what? It seems like that is a to be continued, isn't it? I mean, it's
God, yeah.
You see these stories, and right now this issue with his wife, and a lot of people have compared it to, in their opinions, the O.J. Simpson. Where.
Yep.
The large majority of people believe that justice was not served, and then the person ends up in trouble again. I don't know if that's an accurate comparison or not. I just think it is a remarkable story.
I am starting to get the feeling that this guy could be a troublemaker. I don't know. It just seems that way. Anyhow, doesn't it?
Or he needs some good advisors. He needs some people to say, hey, you probably don't want to be at a gun shop, or, these strange things that he's doing.
Absolutely. All right, so you got to be there Sunday night at 9 o'clock, the Investigation Discovery news program. Deadline, Crime with Tamron Hall. Man, you just don't stop. You are a hard worker there, Tamron. Thank you so much. Okay, congratulations again. Hope to see you up in 30 Rock one of these days soon.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Tamron Hall.
This is the Bill Press Show. The Parting Shot with Bill Press. This is the Bill Press Show.
Well, there are a lot of naysayers about the possibility of a diplomatic deal in Syria. And, look, it may never work out for a lot of reasons. That's true. You have to trust both Vladimir Putin and Bashar al-Assad. Then you got to get through the deal through the Security Council. Then you have to send UN agents over there who have to find the damn things, round them up, secure them, destroy them. And all of this has got to be done in the middle of a civil war. It's going to take a lot of time. Yeah, all of that is true. It's so easy to be so negative. But I think this is a time to look on the positive side. Getting this deal through the UN and getting rid of those weapons won't be easy. That's true. But it is worth a shot. And if we can pull it off, you know what? It's a hell of a lot better than another war. My parting shot for today, folks. Go out and have a great, great Thursday. Come on back here and see us again tomorrow on a Friday.
This is the Bill Press Show.